What's up, guys? Another episode of Twisted Toast. And we're already starting to talk behind the scenes about taxes. And here's my number one strategy for taxes right now. Fuck accountants. Can you hear me okay, Melba?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my thing came out.
No,
Not
nobody
my
wants your
thing,
thing
but
to
my
come
thing, my
out.
headphone. I've had so many people come to me. Now, one thing that pisses me off in the chiropractic space is all these gurus that are now like wealth and tax advisors. I'm like, please do not please don't go down that lane. Here is my thing. I fuck accountants. I hate CPAs because they're pussies. I hate the IRS because I'm a normal libertarian human being. So I've hired over the last couple of years I hire tax lawyers and I let them do my taxes because they're the ones that are going to keep you out of jail. So, to me, I'm like, let's skip ahead the bullshit. Like, they're certified to file taxes. They clean
I
up
did
all
not
this.
know this.
Yeah. Their whole thing is like, I've gone through EAs, I've gone through CPAs, I've gone through all these motherfuckers. Well, I use Keeper, first of all. I love Keeper. It's an app and it uses AI to basically tell you like where you're pushing the limits of what you're writing off. So I get like 80 to 90% of the bulk work done. And then I give it to my tax lawyer and I'm like, keep me out of prison. That's it. Keep me out of prison. Push it as far as you can. It's like hiring the Sal, Better Call Sal, right? Like, why not just get the lawyers to do it? So that's my, we were talking about tax stuff.
And that makes sense. I didn't even I never knew that.
Well, for years, my father, the shops are notorious for tax stuff. We'll just say that we're true libertarians, if that makes sense. And, it's actually the federal is not what I'm afraid of. It's the states. The states are fucking the ones that really come after you. But for those out there, don't take this as tax advice. But I would say my tax advice is go to a tax lawyer. Like, stop. Like, of all the people that are paid to keep you out of prison. And I had a tax situation like for 18 years and the tax lawyer was like, yeah, they're not going to come after you, and he was right. Like if I went to a CPA, the CPA would have been a pussy and been like, pay that bill. And I just think they're all pussies, Another set of pussies out there. What was your take on the No King stuff?
I love actually all the jokes that like Trump came up with, as a matter of fact, to kind of counter it. And some of the other jokes that I saw online to be like, I'm not a king, like it's just funny. I don't know. I think it's kind of dumb. Like they're just trying to create something out of nothing, in my opinion.
Dude, I think we should just have no more retards. That should be the thing. And I'm trying to explain to some people, I'm like, that I love and their family, but it just doesn't matter. No. You were flying? You flew in today, didn't you? You flew back?
Yeah, we were in Chicago.
What'd you do in Chicago? In that deep blue state?
Well, we weren't in Chicago proper. We were in one of the suburbs. We went to the granddaughter's birthday party.
What suburb?
Plainfield?
Plainfield. Okay, I don't know
which
where
is
that
close to Naperville.
Oh, Naperville, one of the richest communities in the world. There we go.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like there's some ballers up there.
All
Naperville.
right.
Shout out to Gabrielle Quill and Mitch Quill up in Bolingbrook. I mean, that is like, oh man, there's Colorado, like Colorado Springs and what was that one that got the shooting years and years ago when I was a kid?
Denver.
Columbine, like all the places,
school.
yeah, all the professional service providers want to live out there, so it's very competitive. Like Naperville is very similar to that. How was that? How was the family time?
Colorado's ultra liberal on the Denver side.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they're all too high on the fucking marijuana. That THC has gotten to their brains, so that's the problem.
Yeah,
with pot.
something for sure. Because when I grew up there, I mean, I didn't grow up on the Denver side, but it was a much more conservative state when I was younger.
Well, I got to go to St. Louis and did my last on-site for the year, and I got some takeaways. And number one,
I saw some of your takeaways.
Yeah, I'll go into one of the big ones today. And I know everyone, I knew people are already like, I'm waiting for your podcast for you to go into this. 30% of people, this is my data from over, 18 on-sites over the last 3 months, 30% of patients are asking for other things, but we are either not equipped, we are not trained in proper upsell sales communications, or we don't have the right team to hand this off to. So we're losing money on the table from people asking about other things. And I'm sure you get this after like a third or fourth of every adjustment. You do a great adjustment, gotcha, awesome. And then they get off the table and they're like, my wrist. Can I ask you about my wrist? Can I ask you about my toe? Can I ask you about this? Right? You know what I'm talking about, right? There's always something else. Now, right? Tell me what do you think about that?
You're right.
It's it's always something else. So I'm sitting there in offices that have soft wave, or shock wave or stem wave or dick wave or vagina wave, whatever wave that they got, right? And they're like, instead of being the authority, they were like, oh, let me do a quick adjustment on that. They'll do an extremity adjustment. They won't bill out. It's like, why not get them and
Because they
sell
usually
them?
don't pay.
Well, okay, that's a good point of that.
But also, it just depends on how you bill it. I just learned that the other day. But
What'd you learn?
well, nothing directly. I was talking to a person because I know it's a little scary, but I was thinking about taking insurance. And I was
I
talking to
think
a
you
billing
should.
company. Yeah, and all the rich chiropractors I know take insurance. Let's just be
Hands
honest.
down, that when we were doing Quest 7 and BDC, that was hands down the data that I had. I was like, every single one, not only did they accept insurance, they exceptionally billed out for insurance, meaning they were
Yeah,
well
and if you know,
trained
it's
up.
just like anything. If you know how to do it, then you can get the money from it, and the billers know what's up. And this girl was like, she didn't give me the exact specifics. I can't tell you the specifics exactly, but she was told me about this one guy that was never getting paid for extremities. Well, if you just bill it like this, and like you're still billing it, but like there's some little thing, that nuance or whatever, that the billers know about, and then you can get paid for it.
Right. Here's my take on that, and we'll come back to my other takeaway. But I grew up. I remember saying to my dad when I was going through when I got back into chiropractic and we were working on Chiro Sushi, and I was meeting all these gurus and experts and the cash pack practice people, and I said to my dad, you should do cash. Why are you not, why are you doing this insurance game? He goes, I'm across the street from the high school. I'm right next door to the sheriff's department. And, the reality is that a lot of people who have careers, that is part of their payment. Like, that is part of how they monetize their life. And it killed me. I used to have people who are like, I take Bitcoin and I don't take insurance. I'm like, you'll take crypto, but you won't take someone's insurance. So, shout out to Close for Chiro, who teaches docs how to do that right too. Like how to do that sales positioning. I mean, to me, Melba, I would do it. I just think it's just, we're still in that era. And when I look at most successful practices, like you just said, they have their systems down when it comes to that. So,
Well, it opens the door, right? Because everybody wants to use it. You're paying out the ass for it,
yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. Well, that note, number 2 trend, I'll throw that top at number 2. The
Okay.
practices that I was on site with that took insurance make about 30 to 40% more than the practices that don't.
I have a friend, she started taking insurance a couple years ago. She said her collections went up 110%.
I would believe it. I believe it hands down. You want to work with teachers. You want to work with moms. You want to work like everyone across the board, all these avatars that we love. It's funny because when I was in OBGYN in California in my 20s, I mean, the richest motherfuckers in California, in Thousand Oaks, Malibu, actors that would come to our offices. I mean, we had actors from all the HBO series coming in, giving their wife coming in for stuff. They would switch off when they got pregnant. They would switch illegally to Medi-Cal, which is like the state government California insurance, because they got more visits with the OBGYN. That's how much people, even rich people, are like, I still want to fucking milk the system, So
I think rich people want to milk it the most.
yes, absolutely. So trend, insurance, yes, absolutely. I saw that in the practices. The other thing I saw in the practices that was really interesting, man, the more love and spiz. I mean, I'm not trying to validate what I've been preaching and singing about, but the more that the practice just loves on their people, and by what I mean by love is listening, giving extra time here and there. I know that, people want to be effective and efficient, do their flying sevens, but the practices, even with the teams that hug their patients, that prayed with their patients, real love, man, the PVA in those practices, astronomically bigger than other practices.
Relationship capital.
You got it, dude. You nailed it on that.
Absolutely.
So
Right,
here's,
so let's go back to what you're talking about before about what we need to do more of. Topic number 1, before we went off on insurance and extremity adjusting.
selling more to our patients. And it's not really selling. It's not recommending. It's not selling. It's actually giving them what they're asking for to help them. They're looking for...
And showing them love, if you think about it.
Yeah. They're asking for more stuff out there than we really realized. I mean, I was shocked in practices that there's people who are like, I want to know about, am I drinking water properly? I was like, is this a setup because I'm here? Because like, these are real questions that real human patients have, you know? So they want workshops. They want, you know, on-demand learning content. They want softwave, decomp, laser. They want things that are going to help them stay out of the medical allopathic paradigm, you know? And so we just got to get equipped with it. We got to be open to it. We got to train our people how to listen for this, you know, because the problem is scalability, especially in busy high volume practices. It's not that the people aren't asking for it. We're proving that. It's we just don't have the time and bandwidth to sell this stuff. So they get lost and they don't realize that the other resources that we have on the holistic level, even practices with weight loss programs, the amount of people asking for help with that is crazy.
But it's a billion-dollar industry, maybe $1 trillion industry now, I
Right.
think.
But here's the one that I know I'm going to piss people off with. And look, I would say at least 2 instances a day. So one out of at least, let's just say one out of every 20 patients that was vocal about this in my on-sites. So I was just shadowing docs, filming content, getting testimonials, getting behind the scenes stuff. And the amount of, I mean, this came up not as much as patients asking for more things, but enough for me to say it's time, I think, for us to really evaluate and evolve the prescription rights conversation. And I've had my share of people come at me for this. Look, I was anti this for years because you got to stay principled. The reality is that the majority of people that when we talk about when BJ was in practice or when BJ was teaching and developing chiropractic, compared to the amount of drugs that people are on now, it's astronomically bigger. Not just the types of drugs, the amount of drugs and the amount of doctors that they have that are competing with each other and confusing the fuck out of these patients. And they're looking at you, their other doctor, and going, well, this guy says that I need to do this. And then this other doctor says that I need to do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. And then the chiropractor has to say the dumbest fucking thing in the world, which is, well, I can't really say anything on that. So, you know, hands tied behind my back. And there was one case when I was in St. Louis, and it was right when I posted it after that Dr. Joe came around the corner and he goes, I saw what you posted. He goes, I'm with you, man. He goes, I felt sorry for him in this situation. He had a patient there that's literally going, I don't want to do this shit. You know, I wish there was someone with a brain and authority that would just tell me the truth. So that to me, the amount of instances where I see the amount of patients that are on, you know, masterful amount of prescriptions, I know the number one thing people say, well, what would make us separate and distinct? I don't think that matters anymore. I don't think that it matters to the patient who's saying, I don't want to come to you to get drugs. They're literally coming to them now going, how do I get off this shit? Or how do I communicate? Like,
Well, then, you know, I guess you could also argue then that we should just try to figure out a better way to have better relationships with medical doctors. I mean,
really
if they
great
want to stay
point.
in their lane, because the reality is like, you know, they could go to an osteopath if they just want somebody to quote, crack their back, you know, and get them on or off of drugs, you know. So what is a differentiation, you know, and what is our lane is certainly that we are on that natural side. And I get what you're saying. Like, I really actually do. I see the value of knowing enough to be able to have the conversation, to be knowledgeable enough to know all the sides of the story so
And
that
maybe
you
it's
can
not
have a
prescription
sufficient
rights, but
conversation.
maybe it's something I don't have the answers completely, but I just look at it and go, I feel really bad for everyone involved. It was painful for me in the instances that this comes up, that the doctor has to basically shrug his shoulders and go, I can't really say anything about this because it's illegal for me to say anything about this.
Well, you know what I'll say to my patients straight up? I'll have conversations with them. I'll certainly tell them, you know, this is out of my scope of practice, but you can certainly have a conversation with your doctor. You can call them up on the phone, and these are questions that you can
Right.
ask them. And I might coach them into the conversation. And if I don't know something about something, I'll certainly look it up on Perplexity. But, you know, I think
Which
that we
is
can
no
certainly
different than what medical doctors are doing nowadays too.
But I think that we could coach people into having the conversations with the medical doctor to guide, just as much as to be a good salesperson, you have to guide that conversation into leading questions. You can teach people
Yeah.
how to do that. You can teach your patients how to do that with a medical doctor.
Yeah. I lost you a little bit on there. I hope the recording's good on that. Can you repeat what you just said?
I'm just saying that we can guide our patients on the conversation on how to lead them into getting what they want, just as, it's just another sales type of a conversation, if you will,
Yeah.
to get the outcome that's desired. I certainly coach my patients on that often, especially when it comes to, pain drugs or heart, blood pressure medication, start to have those conversations. Well, hey, did you notice this? Or hey, can we do this blood work? Or what do you think about that? Whatever the topic is that they're talking about, just how do you guide them to have that open door conversation? And then if the patient comes back, like, how did that conversation go? And they're like, okay, well, usually people have a win. I won't lie. Like, they'll get something that
Yeah.
changes for the better in their opinion. And then, you go along and you're like, okay, well, let's have this conversation now. Let's coach you into this thing. If this is what you want, let's coach you into how to have it. And then it empowers that patient. If I've learned anything, education is power, right? And
Yeah.
so through education, you empower that patient so they can take charge. Even I just had a new patient the other day, and he's like, man, your report of findings, and not these exact same words, but he's just like, he said, your presentation is one of the best presentations I ever had. He's
Well,
like,
that's awesome, dude.
you're so informative. I'm like, well, thank you. I was like, my goal is to educate you enough to empower you enough to make a decision that's right for you.
Yeah.
Right. And if I don't do that, then I failed. I can only help you make the decision that's best for you. So I think that applies, on both sides of the fence. We can help them guide and make decisions, even if it involves medicine. And we're not giving advice on the medicine, that
Yeah.
is out of our scope. But I think that we can give advice on how to, ask, coach them into having these
That's
conversations so
true.
they can ask their own doctor those questions.
That's true. I just, the thing is about their faith and confidence in their own doctors is very limited too. That's, I think, the reality.
I agree. And they don't like the fact that they don't spend any time with them and it
Yeah.
costs like $500 for 5 minutes.
Well, the other trend that I saw, and I think that there's a reason why this is blowing up. I just saw a kangaroo in the news get adjusted by a chiropractor in South Carolina, which made me excited. The animal chiropractic is blowing up. The people are asking for more about it. I'm so happy to see this rising. I got to grow up where it was illegal in New York State for a chiropractor to adjust, so we did it off the side and stuff like that. I remember going to farms. We had vets that had farms, and one of the reasons I was named Tristan was because there's a all creatures great and small, and my father's dream for me was to be an animal chiropractor, which that was his dream.
And now you're just an
Now
animal.
I'm just an animal. And I love animal chiropractic. I think it's awesome. And it's the number one growing trend in search when related to chiropractic keywords. What's the rules down in Georgia? Do you guys have to have like animal vet? You don't do any of that. I know that, right? Like you don't do animal.
Well, I would. It's not part of our board. It's
Not
not in
part
our
of your board.
scope here in Georgia unless
Yeah.
you're doing it under the guidelines apparently of a vet, because we're
Yeah.
not vets. So as you know, every state is very different. I would love to learn how to do animal chiropractic. I've certainly thought about doing it anyway. I had a Great Dane. Animal chiropractic changed that dog's life. He got hurt playing with some other dogs one time.
Yeah.
I had a boyfriend once get hit by his car. His dog got hit by a car, got ran over. I asked him if I could take him to the animal chiropractor, and it was so cool. After the dog got adjusted, did the activator on him, and you watch the dog. He's like, oh, he like stretched afterward. He felt so good. And then that dog, because he wasn't thriving, and then he started to thrive and get better after that. So it was super cool. And here's the thing too, right? People will spend more money on their
Yeah.
animals
Yes.
than they will on themselves.
Yeah.
So it can be
Well,
very lucrative and profitable,
I have
and less oversight, really.
I have a founder of a school down in St. Louis through the connection with Dr. Joe Sass. Joe Sass and I worked on his personal injury program. Joe is a shark, and I mean that in a loving way when it comes to personal injury. He is just a brilliant mind. It's like a beautiful mind when it comes to PI stuff. And I've been trying to push him into like, let's create a program. And we finally got time to build it out when I was down there. One of his connections is a school that works with autistic children, and she asked me to come over and meet with her, and she's got some ideas about, and one of the things is doing something for animals. I can't, because of non-disclosure agreements, share her startup stuff, but same thing she was just saying, people will spend more on their animal than they will themselves, and we always know that cliche on that. You're in Georgia. I got to ask you, you've been hearing about what's going on in the ICA and the Georgia Council poll. Are you part of the Georgia Council? No.
I'm not part of anything.
You're not part of anything. You're a rebel like me. That's why we're here.
I'm kind of ignorant in a way.
Well, the ICA stuff is really interesting. I'd love to get some hot takes on that. So anyone who's listening that would love to share more and give either side of what's going on. I guess the ICA and the straight chiros, the DE chiros down in Georgia, I guess there's some bow outs. They're leaving the ICA. They're definitely not going
Oh
to the
yeah, I
ACA.
heard some things
Yeah.
like that.
So
I don't remember.
we're at an
I heard more, but
interesting
I don't remember all of it right now.
we're at an interesting time frame for like stuff going on politically in our profession. It's exciting.
Aren't we always?
I think so. It's good to be back. I was saying this
I'm
about during
shocked at how
COVID.
political.
Yeah. When COVID was going on, we got really quiet, right? I love having this. I love people fighting. We need to fight. Everybody needs to fight. Yeah. So I'm trying to pull up some information on, but other than that, that's all I got. So anyone who wants to jump on, we'd love to have you on and get some insights. That would be great. I'm done with on-sites. Are you done with travel for a while?
No, we're gonna go to the Patriot Ball, the Patriot Project Ball.
Shit, I was just reading
Ohio,
about the Patriot Project.
Cleveland. I thought it was Cincinnati, but it's Cleveland. I think it's November the 1st. And then we're going to be going to Vegas for a big old party I'm all excited about in December.
Military families can receive free chiropractic care with the Patriot Project. That's the same thing, right? The veterans?
Yeah, so the goal there is that, you commit to seeing at least one veteran a month.
I love that. We don't talk about that enough. They don't talk. I know what we need. That's good shit. That's good shit going on out there. So you got a little thing to go there for Ohio. I'm heading to see my dad in Mexico for Thanksgiving. That's the only travel we're doing, family stuff.
That sounds nice.
It's really good. So I'll get to have Thanksgiving with my dad, which I haven't had for years. And because he's down in Mexico, he comes up.
Did they get their house done?
I think they're pretty much done with everything.
Because we were supposed to connect with them. We were in
Right.
Puerto, wherever we were, and they couldn't connect because there's something happened with a sink.
Well, it was like the Money Pit or something like that movie for a while with them. But that always is like that with my dad because that's just his track record with stuff with houses and things like that. But yeah, I think they're all good. We're staying there, so it should be all good. We're gonna go to a resort with the boys for 3 or 4 days. And then they're gonna get to experience the all inclusives, and then we're gonna take them for Thanksgiving for 3 days and stay with my dad and Dawn.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous.
I need it. We need it. The family needs it. I will say
the beach
this:
solves everything.
the ocean. You can pour everything into it, including your urine.
That's funny. I was literally thinking the same thing.
All right. Well, I got to jump off because I got a call, but I appreciate anyone who listened to this. I want to thank everyone for this growing and the feedback you're getting. If you're listening to this, wherever you're listening, leave a 5-star review, do all the things, like and subscribe. I hate saying that stuff because it's cliche, but every now and then we got to tell you guys to do that stuff.
Promotion.
Yeah. And we'll be with you guys next week. Thanks for jamming with us today. Bye, guys.
Peace.